You are listening to the Sports and Sorts podcast.
Hubbard's drop, deep to left field. Going back towards, looking up. See ya! 3,000. History.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble! This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Yes! Welcome back to Sports and Sorts. This is episode 124. Happy Columbus Day. That is what today is, right? I mean, the kids are off from school. Banks aren't probably in operation.
Right.
Things like that are not going on today. The kids get a lovely day off. And thankfully, my kids are over at a neighbor's house right now, so they are actually being very entertained. And I am here hanging out with the Bry Man.
Yes.
The
Good
beard.
morning.
The beard is growing. It's starting to get full,
It's getting there.
and it is going to be one of these one time soon. We're all gonna turn on the screen, and you might end up like seeing us and go, "Whoa, what's going on with that beard?" Because there is a time last year where it was very Santa Claus-ish. It wasn't gray. But
No.
it was very,
there's-
it had that Santa Claus-ish, Braun Strowman even, kind of.
Ooh, wow. Braun Strowman is like my spirit animal as far as beards go. Like if I could pull that off, I mean that takes a while though.
That's next
This
level.
it's very thick, but the thing that I hate about it is like I would love for it to just sort of grow down
You
into
have to
like
groom it, man.
like a V. I know Old Spice has some products. I may have to invest in some of those because like
Maybe that's what I'll send you.
it gets so bushy and then it makes my face look really wide, which kind of drives me nuts. So
You're just growing the beard to hide the weight that you're putting on around the holidays.
I eat way too many deep fried turkeys around the holidays. Now that I mention that, when you come up, because you're going to come up and watch football with me in a couple weeks, we may have to do a bird. We may have to deep fry a bird.
Whoa.
It is my specialty, so.
Oh, okay. I mean, I love turkey. It's like
I know you're not going to say no.
but,
Even
I mean,
if
it's
it's
chicken.
not a turkey,
It
it's
is
chicken. Yeah.
Chicken's
The last one I
delicious.
did a couple last week. I did chickens. They were good.
I'm all about the breast meat. Let's do it.
They
And the
come.
legs.
Yes.
There's just deliciousness. All right.
Yep.
All right. So we got a great show today. We got a lot to talk about.
I like beer.
I like beer.
Well, there'll be plenty of that too.
Oh, Damien's must be off today. He's got he's a history teacher, I believe now. So
Yeah.
he's not only our analytics specialist, but he likes beer and he's a history teacher. So I think he's off today. So that's good. Good for him.
Well, while we're talking, Damien, what history are you teaching? I'm curious. I'm a history buff, so that's like my thing. Because like so many other people, I lived in the past.
He said, "No school equals more beautiful mind." Indeed, yes, it does. So anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to start off the show with a little UFC, head on over to the NFL, and we will wrap up this show with a hard dose of baseball because it is October baseball postseason. You got the Red Sox and Yankees in the playoffs playing each other, tied 1-1, going into Game 3. You have the Brewers who just swept the Rockies. You have the Braves and the Dodgers having a series finally because the Braves actually came back after they took an early lead. They gave up that lead, and then Freddie Freeman obviously had something to say about that, and then they held on.
Did.
So that got a little interesting. We'll see how we'll talk about all of that and probably a lot more. So we got a great show today. Let's go.
You are listening
I
to
hit the right
Sports
button.
and Sorts with Shane and the Bry Man.
That's exciting right there. I just hit the right button, so that's amazing. All right, we have first things to talk about. I wanted to talk about a little fight that happened over the weekend. I happened to watch it. Bryman had to watch it. Conor McGregor versus Khabib. This fight was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Conor McGregor.
Which fight?
Yeah, Conor McGregor looked like he was outmatched right out the gate. I don't know what anybody else saw, but that's what I saw. And Khabib was an absolute wild man. Like, the whole fight made me think of Rocky 3, when Rocky was living the high life after making all the money, just like McGregor after that boxing match he had with Mayweather. You know, He made a ton of money, and he isn't as hungry anymore. And then you have this wild man training like a Tasmanian devil, all fired up and ready to kill everyone in his path, just kind of like Mr. T in Rocky 3. And now, unlike Rocky 3, I'm not sure we're going to get like a McGregor montage where he's like going to lock himself up in a cabin in the snowy hills and punching cattle, because I don't know if he will ever be the same after making all that money. And that money, you know, it makes a man awfully comfortable. So we'll see how that goes. But, you know, obviously the fight happened, you know, and Khabib did absolutely look like a wild man out there. He was constantly attacking. He landed a couple big blows. He ended up getting the tap out, you know, and it was absolutely insane. And then on top of all that, you have this crazy man who jumps over the ring, starts punching people in the stands, and then obviously there's going to be a suspension handed down. So I don't know when this rematch is going to happen. It's going to, obviously, in very WWE fashion, it's going to lead to a very big event in the probably distant future because of the suspension that's going to be, you know, put on Khabib. But I think it's going to be something that people are going to really be looking forward to seeing. Whether you are, to me, it felt natural for Khabib because of how hyped up he was. It didn't feel WWE kind of ish because he was so incredibly hyped up. He absolutely seemed like he was the type of person that was going to jump into the stands and start taking people out and then jump back in and start taking people out. Like, he seemed like that kind of person. So, like, I absolutely believe that 100%. Like, that was completely on his own, and he was just going bananas.
Yeah, it was an absolute SHIT show. I mean, I know we got to try and keep it PG here, but
yes,
I have to tell you, so many thoughts like went through my mind watching this as Yoda is just going completely ballistic upstairs. That's just typical. First thing was, Khabib completely and totally executed his game plan. They really are. He had a game plan.
They're going
Khabib
went upstairs.
They are. Yeah, I'm sure Yoda saw a caterpillar outside, and so here we are. The foibles of Facebook Live. Anyways,
maybe laugh so hard
no,
my earphones fell off.
He had a game plan, and he went out and he completely executed it. Like, Conor just didn't even look like he belonged in this match.
No.
He looked, I mean, not physically out of shape, but he looked out of ring shape. He couldn't do anything. There was nothing he could do in this. And the ironic part is, at least from a tail of the tape perspective, he actually had, like, Conor's got like a 4-inch bigger reach than Khabib. So you would have thought he would have been able to, you know, execute his game plan and really, you know, kind of try and jab and move, and he couldn't do anything. And Khabib, it was kind of hard to watch. I mean, unless I like boxing. I like professional wrestling. So when you're watching Khabib just sort of like, you know, position Conor into the side of the cage and just kind of sit there and lock him up. Yeah. I mean, yes, I know that's from a UFC perspective. He's executing his game plan. It looks good, all that stuff. It's kind of boring to watch.
A little bit.
But he totally dominated. Mm-hmm. I mean, he dominated, and then he gets him in that rear choke, and it's over. And then it was, you know, and then Conor just sort of lightly taps, and then it was kind of funny because, and I think Brandon just mentioned it, he didn't immediately let go. No. He wanted to hold that a little because there was a lot at stake here for Khabib. not just his undefeated record, the retention of his championships, but Conor talked a lot of crap about his family, his religion. But Conor really went next level with this guy, and he made a mistake. He underestimated him. I think he overestimated himself, and he paid for it because all this guy did to motivate himself was he probably just played that track in his head of Conor saying the things he said. And this guy was just motivated. He was and I actually like your Rocky 3 analogy because it was sort of like he was like Clubber Lang in the first match where Clubber just goes out and just knocks Rocky on his ass.
Clubber was the one who was talking all the garbage, but if you take the words out of it, it's just like the training style. Like
yes, training, the overall. I mean, and just the result. The result was it was completely one-sided. In fact, I was a little surprised that the ref didn't stop it before the choke because at the one point where Khabib was basically over top of him and just nailing him, just wailing on him, but he didn't stop. The ref didn't stop it. But it was so the match was good, but then the real fun began because then Khabib he sits after Conor chokes. He stands over top of him and taunts him. Then he throws his mouth guard at Conor's jiu-jitsu trainer and jumps the fence and chases that guy down. Then, while all that's happening on the outside, one of Khabib's guys jumps in and attacks Conor and actually got a couple of good blows in on him.
Punched him right in the head.
Which leads me to my final thought, which is that, you know what? Here's the thing, Dana White, and I think you were on we were all texting each other, the Yankees text group, we were talking about UFC. But Dana White is such a fraud. He really is. Because he's trying to incorporate Vince McMahon WWE-esque style into his very real mixed martial arts organization. And he doesn't need to do that. UFC can sell itself on its own. UFC is a really strong product and a very unique product, much like WWE. Now, but WWE does need to incorporate those kind of antics because their style of sports entertainment is fake. It's scripted. So they have to do that kind of stuff. UFC doesn't need to do that to sell itself. Now, I get you do the press conferences, right? And the guys square off and they face off each other, and that's fine. But these kind of antics in the ring, because listen, this stuff doesn't just happen on its own. Dana White is giving these guys the leash to do this kind of stuff. Except the difference is, guys end up getting arrested because UFC is real. This isn't like WWE where they can pull all this kind of weird crap. And nobody
if they get arrested in WWE, it's by the fake cops that they.
Right, the fake. Yes, they're real cops. They're just hired to come. Yeah, or they'll rent they'll get an ambulance that they'll destroy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean if that stuff is understood and it makes more sense in the WWE realm. In UFC, I don't think it has a place. It doesn't need it. And I think Dana's watching way too much of WWE. He's got to just dial that back. Just let your product speak for itself. Let these guys do their thing in the ring. They don't need that crap. I mean, and Conor, he looks at Conor is, I'll tell you what, Conor, when his career is done, which maybe he'll be sooner than later, he should probably go to WWE, just like Ronda did. Look what it's doing for Ronda. Ronda's off to a great start. I mean, her wrestling in work still needs a lot.
The only issue with him is he's going to have to take his trash talk. He's going to have to take it down a notch.
He would have to because it's not remotely PG.
No, not at all.
And WWE these days fancies itself as a PG company. So
he's NC-17, constantly.
Oh my God,
between him and Mayweather, the stuff that he said about Mayweather, and then the stuff that he said about Khabib, it's like those things. And those are the two fights that he lost. The more he talks, it seems like the more that he's actually fearful he's going to lose because he just gets his. But he didn't get his butt handed to him against Mayweather, but he still lost his last two two fights.
But doesn't this also remind you a little bit of how Ronda was? Ronda seemed invincible, right? And then all of a sudden she gets in there, gets popped. Was it Holly Holm who beat her for the first time?
I think so, yeah.
And then she came back. She came back, and then
about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
It makes an appearance almost every show.
Yeah, I know. I just should prepare for it. It's a regular occurrence now. But this sort of reminds me a little bit. I mean, it's early. Let's see what happens. But this sort of does remind me a little bit of the Ronda track a little bit, And if he loses another one, let's say he comes back again, fights again, maybe he even fights Khabib again because they want that rematch. What if he loses again? And what if it's in even more embarrassing fashion? It may be time to wave bye-bye to him. I mean, because at some point, Dana will give you just enough leash to hang yourself, but if you are no longer valuable to him, he'll cut you loose. Bye. I mean, that's what Vince McMahon does too. If you have no value, if he can't dangle you by your pants and hang you upside down and watch every penny fall out of your pocket and into his coffers, he'll cut you loose. There's no need. I mean, so if Conor doesn't have value anymore, like he can talk all the trash he wants. If he can't go in the ring and produce, he's done. He'll be working for Vince in a year. Yeah. He'll be doing mixed tag team matches with Conor and Ronda versus Brock Lesnar and Alexa Bliss or something.
But the more he stays in the ring and the more he loses, the less he's going to be worth to the WWE.
Well, see, you would think that though, but that's not how it turned out for Ronda because I thought
different. Ronda had like a couple of bad matches and then she was done. She was like, "Nope, I'm done. I'm moving on." Like she still is. You still have a feeling like she's a really tough chick, and you're just like, I don't really want to mess with her, even though she got popped a couple of times because that was the thing is that they took her down with a good pop. They proved that obviously she had a weakness, and if they could exploit it. She was going to get taken down, but it's different in wrestling. They don't really do that in wrestling. So I don't know. It's a little different. I think the way that Conor McGregor kind of it's going is like his trash talk is so much a part of his hype. And then if he can't continually win, like it could really take him down a notch quickly.
Yeah.
So, and he said, no, she got exposed. Brandon said
she did. No, she absolutely did. No, he's right.
And your father's back. Hi, guys. What's up?
Hey, Pop.
I will refer to you as Mr. Christina because that's just how I do.
You're very respectful.
And so does Connor. All right. So his ground game is awful. It truly is. He looks so uncomfortable down there.
He doesn't really have one.
He looks uncomfortable when he's standing too. Like he just doesn't look natural. It just obviously he can strike and hit pretty hard, but he just doesn't look natural in the ring. The most natural ability that he has is his trash talk. And if he can't really back it up all over, and if he's just going to get destroyed by Khabib over and over and over again, that's not going to go well. All right, so let's head on over. Well, let's get rid of the UFC here. Obviously, a very hot topic. Lots of comments there. But we are going to switch over to the NFL. And what we have learned is after week 5, it's almost complete. We have a game tonight, obviously Monday Night Football. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But the one thing that we have learned about the NFL this year in week 5, we're well into the season, is that the kickers stink. And this all happened just within this 1 week. And I'm sorry, Brandon, he's diehard Packers fan. And I'm really sorry to bring this up, but Mason Crosby missed 4 field goals in the Packers-Lions game. The usually reliable kicker hadn't missed 2 attempts in the game in nearly 5 years.
I think he missed 3, but then he missed the extra point, which really put the capper on it. Well, unless he did miss 4. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. But.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And so he actually made one. He hadn't made one late. Which was great. Good for him. But that was just a brutal game to watch. He came into this season making 10 of 11. And actually, a person that we obviously all know is Chad Davis. He posted on his Facebook page that apparently in his fantasy football league, he gets negative points for kickers missing. And he had Mason Crosby. And Mason Crosby, at whatever point in time he posted this, had negative 35 points for him.
What?
Yeah. So that's crazy. It must have been the artificial wind or something in that dome that messed with him, but it was bad. But Crosby wasn't the only kicker having issues yesterday, and I didn't even go through every game. I did look through most of them, so I may have got them all. But Chris Boswell missed an extra point in Pittsburgh, the third one that he's missed this season. Browns kicker Greg Joseph clanked an extra point off the upright. The third extra point missed by Cleveland this season. Ravens kicker, who never misses, Justin Tucker, had a 48-yard field goal attempt blocked by Cleveland. Yeah. Cincinnati kicker Randy Bullock had a 37-yard field goal try blocked by Miami. Myers for the Jets missed a chip shot, 30-yard field goal wide right. Robbie Gould, who is an all-time good kicker, missed a 45-yard field goal. He's one of the great kickers that's been over the last decade. McCrane for the Raiders attempted a 57-yarder. It was short. But don't worry, because in the same game, Sturgis for the Chargers also missed a 48-yarder that was wide left. The Bills botched a field goal attempt. The Detroit Lions kicker Matt Prater, who's also very good, missed a 55-yarder badly, sending the football way right. Fairborn for the Texans missed a 45-yarder against the Cowboys. Being in the NFL, if you are a kicker, get your act together, because this is ridiculous. This seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. Like, it started about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where kickers were kind of missing more frequently, and then all of a sudden, they obviously they extended the extra point.
The extra point that started it.
That caused a little bit, but now like field goals are being botched over and over and over again. It's like being a kicker in the NFL is almost being like a weather person. You can get your job wrong about half the time and still have a job. Like it's if you're that good, if you can make them 50% of the time, especially clutch kicks, you're going to have a job. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Kickers are like such a revolving door in the NFL too, and they get recycled so many times by so many teams. Like, that's the funny part. I think there's a fantasy football analogy here too. You know how a lot of times in fantasy football with kickers and or defenses, you just sort of stream them, like based on matchups. That's kind of what's happening in the NFL now with kickers. It's just a revolving door. It's just in and out. You stunk this week, we're going to cut you. But don't worry, somebody else will pick you up next week because they're going to have a kicker problem. And it's just like a vicious cycle. Kicking, it is painful to watch kickers in the NFL.
It really is.
I mean, and there are maybe like a handful.
Vinatieri.
Seriously, a handful that you can trust.
You can probably say Sebastian Janikowski. Gold.
Well, I would say I could count on one hand the guys that I would really, really trust, I think, in like a big spot. Vinatieri would be one, and he might be 60 years old right now.
But he looks 40, so.
And then Justin Tucker, maybe the best kicker ever after Vinatieri.
Yeah, man. I mean, he hasn't had as many clutch.
No, but
because Vinatieri's done it in every level. But he's so good.
But unless he gets a kick blocked, it's down the middle every time.
Yeah, he's good.
Every time. Really good. And then actually the guy in Carolina, Graham Gano, who's been a very solid kicker, and he hit a 63-yard game winner yesterday.
Yeah, that was good.
63! That's nuts. Mm-hmm. So it was weird because you had all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, I felt really bad for Mason Crosby because after he had missed 3 field goals. I was watching the game. He had missed 3 field goals, and then he missed.
It was heartbreaking.
Wait, it was heartbreaking because he put his hands on his helmet, and I think he even said to the holder, like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have an answer for what's going on right now. And I felt bad for him because, and let's be honest, being a kicker in the NFL, that is the most thankless job in the NFL, next to quarterback, basically, because. I mean, the quarterback, you know how it is with the quarterback. Mm-hmm. You either get all of the blame.
Yeah.
Or you get it's a high risk, high reward job. And that's the same thing with the kicker. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, Scott Norwood, who you know very well, and I'm sorry to bring that name up, but didn't they basically base the Ray Finkel character off of him?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel bad for Scott Norwood. He's probably a great guy. But his legacy is wide right.
Yeah, and he was a decent kicker. He was a good kicker.
He was a really good kicker.
And that wasn't a chip shot either. It was,
it was 45
yarder or something like that. Yeah.
I think it was 45. But I mean, like, but he is in football immortality now, and you always see that replay of the ball spinning and going just to the right of the upright. And I'm sorry to bring that up for you. Don't worry, it'll come back around when we start talking about the Dolphins in a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, it is the most thankless job maybe in sports. It really is. It's awful. And to see these guys struggling like this, some of whom are great, like Mason Crosby could be a Hall of Fame kicker.
He really is. I mean, he is a good kicker. He is a good kicker. It's just that there's something going on. I basically said, did they put something in the footballs to kind of like mess with the kickers this year? Like, I don't know what is going on, but this year it's like even more blatantly obvious. Like, they are just missing all the time. And like, you have kickers like Mason Crogman who was like, I don't know what the heck's going on. But they did, and Brandon did post this. He said, and in the end, they brought him out for confidence. They brought him out there to kick another one to get his confidence back. And it wasn't an easy one. I think it was over 40 yards. And they brought him out. He kicked it. He kind of split the uprights. It was very good. Aaron Rodgers came out there. He knows how important having a good clutch kicker is. Came out there, gave him a hug, and gave him a pat. And he's like, it happens. Everybody has a bad game from time to time, but it's just weird. Like, you heard me read through all of those kickers. This just happened yesterday. That was just yesterday. One day in football, and all of that happened with kickers.
Yeah.
And it seems like it happens more and more. It's just crazy.
And it is important for guys like Aaron Rodgers to be able to trust their kickers because look at Tom Brady's the perfect example. How many championships would Tom Brady have without Adam Vinatieri? Yeah. It'd be less than 5. We know that.
Goss Calvin's helped him too. I mean, he's been a good kicker for them too.
No,
he had his issues a couple years ago, but other than that, he's been
he's steady. Kicker. He's steady. Yeah. He's probably one of the 5 who I would actually say I trust. Mm-hmm. It's like an epidemic right now. But Aaron Rodgers did the smart thing, being supportive of his kicker because he knows he's going to need that guy. Yeah. Because the Packers, let's be honest, the Packers are the kind of team too with their defense. They're probably going to be in a lot of tight games, and having a steady kicker that you can rely on is going to be, integral to your success. So
it's been brutal. But all right, let's get on to the next thing. Something else that we learned. Well, I'm going to give Brian about 4 minutes to explain to us why the Red Rifle is the best quarterback ever. And how the Bengals came back to beat the Miami Dolphins. Was it 27 unanswered points?
27 unanswered.
By the Bengals, Brian?
27 unanswered. Yeah,
go ahead.
An absolute atrocity. Listen, if you've been friends with me for long enough, you know how I feel about the Dolphins. It's out there. It's on social media. I'm always posting about it. I can't. There really are.
The pause. He's going to start. He might break down, guys.
This
is a Mason Crosby. He's just looking up and he's like, I don't know what to do.
What's the worst part about yesterday? And you know this because I was texting you and I was texting some other friends of mine who are Dolphin fans too. And I will tell you the worst part about this was they're up 17-0. And all I could think about was what heart-wrenching way are they going to choose to lose this game? Because that is the curse of being a Miami Dolphins fan, is you just know, no matter what that scoreboard says, and they were up at the start of the fourth quarter, they were up 17-3. And I will grant you that I guarantee you, in fact, I almost kind of know because I was on Twitter and watching it. The majority of Dolphin fans replying to posts that were made by Miami Dolphins beat writers all knew the Dolphins were going to lose that game. They're up 17-3 to start the fourth quarter, and the majority of Dolphin fans, having been through this week after week, year after year, and at this point, decade after decade, since Dan Marino departed almost 20 years ago. They know the outcome before it happens. And I was texting you, and I'm like, it's going to happen. Oh, look, it's happening. And then, it's funny, I go back and forth a lot of weeks. Some days I get really upset, and, I'm down here in the basement, and I'm just throwing the remote at the couch. And then there's other days where I'm just laughing. Yesterday, I just sort of sat, I did neither. I just sort of sat there, was just laying on the couch, kind of like this, hand. And I just watched, and I took it all in because I was just like, you know what? I've seen this so many times. I hate to say it. You become numb to it. You do. 1, because you know what's going to happen. And 2, because you know it's going to happen. And so there was a post, the Dolphins had a post up on Facebook yesterday, and I got a few likes for this comment. And I was like, can I sue you for what you do to my life and the anxiety and the stress that you bring to my life? Like, can I actually open a lawsuit against you? And I almost meant it like as a legitimate
lawyers come out
question.
there and be like, yes, you can. We can write that
I
up.
mean, listen, look, we all know how things are in this day and age, right? You can pretty much sue anyone for anything. Can I sue the Dolphins for excessive stress? I mean, well, I'll tell you what, man. Between kids, dogs, and cats, it's just an absolute noise fest.
Mark actually posted, "Get those kids in line, Brian."
Yeah, seriously, I can't do anything. The wife's upstairs. I don't know what she's doing. This is funny because the cat.
I don't know what she's doing back there.
The cat wants
the meatloaf.
The cat wants to go back into the unfinished part of the basement, right?
Yep.
But she can't get her fat ass through the cat door. She's trying.
Hey, Connor, take it down a notch.
She's trying right now. She can't do it. Her head is in the door, and she's like trying to push. Come on, Snow White, you can do it. You can do this. You can do. Oh, no. Oh, she's through.
No.
She did it. Wow. I should have turned to the camera over there. She was like crying at the door. She got through though.
Cinderella must have rubbed her down with a little butter.
She Criscoed up the side of the door and she got through. But listen, I at this point, and here's the other thing too as a Dolphins fan, and this is the helpless part of it. There are two things that really make this truly helpless for me. One, when it comes to my sports teams, I'm outrageously loyal to a fault. I'm not one of those people who can switch teams. That's just never going to happen. Like people always like, oh, hey, come over, be a Giants fan, or hey, come over, be this kind of fan. I can't do that. Nobody can. No real legitimate sports fan. We joke about it, but no legitimate sports fan could ever do that because in your heart, you're always still going to be attached to that team that you love. That's part one of the helplessness. Part two, and this might even be the worst part, because at least with the loyalty thing, you could sit there and say, well, I've suffered through this, but I'll continue to suffer through it because I am loyal to this team, and that's just the way it's going to be. But this is the helpless part. If you're a Dolphins fan, and this is the part, since Dan Marino left, and look, even when Dan Marino was there, it's not like they won a championship. They got close. Well, I wouldn't even say they got close. They got to a Super Bowl, and they got blown out by Joe Montana. So 38-16, it wasn't even a game. But the Dolphins have had no real sustained success since Dan Marino. And he's retired now close to 20 years. They have still not been able to find a quarterback. You're on 7 years of Ryan Tannehill, and you still don't know who he is.
He's been hurt a couple of years, so like 5 years of Ryan Tannehill.
That's part of the problem, but you still don't you should have a definitive answer on a quarterback after 3 years. We have doubled that and more with Ryan Tannehill, and Dolphins fans still don't know what this guy is. It's almost like all the stars have to be aligned perfectly in a game, injury-wise, whatever, for him to be successful. And to me, that's ridiculous because and I think Andrew Luck is still a good example. I know the Colts are 1-4, right? But if you look at the way the Colts play, how competitive they are, now look, the Colts are a disaster on defense. They don't have a good offensive line. They have no running game whatsoever. And Andrew Luck keeps that team in every single game. And the reason he does that is because he is good. He's really good. He's a next-level quarterback. If you put him on a team with not even necessarily equal talent, but just average to slightly above average talent, yeah, it's a Super Bowl team. That's a Super Bowl quarterback. The Colts are a disaster. If you look at their roster, it's disastrous. They're only competitive because of Andrew Luck. If you look at the Packers, it's kind of the same thing. But Aaron Rodgers is so next level, he makes them from a bad team to a playoff team just because of his presence alone. Ryan Tannehill has never done that, except for 1 year, and actually Matt Moore had to finish that season and do the dirty work for him. So we never really got a definitive answer about who Ryan Tannehill is. But it's going on 7 years. But my point is, the part two of the misery actually does not have to do with Ryan Tannehill. Part two of the helplessness stems from the fact that the Dolphins have had, in my lifetime, post Dan Marino, I would say there have been 4 or 5 different regimes, completely different regimes, different general managers, different coaches. They've blown this thing up from top to bottom, and yet the script never changes. It never changes. You go into a game every single week expecting the same result, and what's worse is you get it. You get that result. You know me. You know how much I hate being right, because when I'm right, that means bad things happen. I just would for once in my life, I would love to be wrong about this team. Like occasionally when I'm wrong about the Yankees, like the other night, I thought the Yankees were going to lose. The other night, I thought David Price was going to pitch well. I was wrong, and I enjoy being wrong. I hate being right. It's the worst feeling. I can't.
Well,
I can't do it anymore.
Clint posts, "Cry me a freaking river." You're talking to Bills fans here. I am a Bills
I
fan.
don't want
Clint
to
is a
hear
Bills
about.
fan.
I know, but
We
at
know
least
losing like no other.
Wait, no, I will say that is true because it probably is worse to have gone to 4 straight Super Bowls and
Especially
lost.
since we should have won 2 of them.
I would say that you should have won 2 of them. Yes.
Yes. Like the Cowboys had our number. They were a better team. That was a team that was a juggernaut. But we should have beaten the Redskins. We should have beat the Giants.
But the Redskins absolutely annihilated them.
Right, but we should have.
Were they up at the half on that one though?
I don't remember.
Remember.
I'm trying to block all that stuff out. I am trying to move on, and I am actually at the point now where I don't even care about what's going on right now. I am looking forward to the future, and that's why it disappointed me so much. And people get mad at me sometimes when I say, no, I don't want the Bills to win this year. I want them to I want them to have the number 1 overall pick next year to be able to trade that for a long-term successful plan. It's like I want long-term success. I don't want this flash in the pan, barely making the playoffs like we did last year and then getting bad draft picks. I don't want that.
And you know what? Like that's the other thing too. See, this is the problem with the Dolphins too, right? So they're 3-2 right now. They're probably going to finish in the 6-10, who knows, maybe even 7-9 realm. But that doesn't translate. That's like a top 16 pick. Mm-hmm. That's not a top 2 or 3. And that's the problem with the Dolphins too, is you can't secure a pick like you can't get a franchise quarterback with a top 16 pick. You can get a franchise quarterback with a top 3 pick. But you are not getting Baker Mayfield or Josh Rosen or Josh Allen.
One quarterback coming out next year. He's from Oregon, and he's going to be really good. And that's why we need that number 1 pick so we can trade it to the Giants, who need a quarterback badly.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing that bothers me is that the Dolphins are not going to have. They're already 3-2.
Hey, we're going to be fielding plenty of offers. You guys need a quarterback. Yeah, just do really poorly.
Well, I will tell you what. The hope. Listen, I think at this point after yesterday, because Ryan Tannehill is one of the big reasons why they lost yesterday. He threw a pick 6 and then he fumbled, which was returned for a touchdown. That's the game. That's the game right there.
That was a tough fumble.
That's the game right there, by the way. So he cost you the guy who you needed to put that game away for you and salt it away and get you to 4-1 and have you feeling completely different about this team was the guy who blew the game. Now, Ryan Tannehill's cap number next year is $26.6 million. Let me repeat that. $26.6 million. It's a large portion of your salary cap. He's either going to restructure at a much, much smaller number or he is gone because he will count for 0 as dead cap if they get rid of him next year. They have paid him his guaranteed money. He's done. As far as I've seen enough. I have seen enough unless they win out this year. And he looks like a Pro Bowl, Super Bowl kind of winning quarterback.
4,700 yards.
We're done. We're done here. It's over. So, and honestly, I'd rather them play a backup right now. See if maybe one of these young kids that they have, like David Fales or whatever. Horrible last name, by the way, for a quarterback.
It's a terrible.
But see, it's not what you want. But see if that kid can play. See if somebody can play. I don't care if they got a guy in the practice squad.
It'll make for a lot of good headlines.
Yeah, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. We're done here with Ryan Tannehill. That to me, it's a 7-year failed experiment and it's over.
Like Nathan Peterman.
You know what though? But with Mike Tannenbaum at the helm here at the driver's seat, I can't trust that the Dolphins are done with Tannehill. I can't. I almost think like, $26 million. Okay. I think we're going to suck it up. We'll give them one more year.
All right, so let's move on to time for Monday Night Football picks / predictions. Reds versus Redskins. Cincinnati Reds making and Rob Dibble and coming back from the 1990 NL World Series.
We need to get Dibs back on the show.
That was fun. We still have to hear about that Charlie Sheen party story.
He does owe us a story, right?
He does owe us a story, yeah. So we have the Redskins versus the Saints playing in New Orleans. Who do you like? So last week, Brian Mann went 3 for 3. I went 2-1. I'm in double digits wins now. Bryman is over 50%. He's over
500.
He's over 500 now for his picks. I think he is. Let's see, that is 14-13 on the year. So
not great,
you could go back to 50%. Hey, if you're over 50%, you're winning more than you're not. So that's good. You're better than the flip of the coin. All right, so go on. What do you got? Who do you got going? Redskins versus Saints in New Orleans.
I got a lot of points. Is what I got.
Really?
Lot of points. Yeah, because I don't trust the Saints defense right now to really hold anybody off. And Alex Smith is one of those guys Alex Smith is one of those guys who's efficient and proficient enough to be able to move the ball on this defense, which I actually, from a fantasy perspective, hope happens tonight because I have a lot riding on the outcome of tonight's game, specifically Jordan Reed, because I have him playing. He's the one guy that I have in all three of my fantasy teams. So I'd like a big night out of him tonight. And I'd also like a big night out of Alvin Kamara, and I'd also like a big night out of Drew Brees. Spread throughout all of my fantasy teams. But I think we're going to get that because I don't trust either of these defenses to hold the other one down. I think it's going to be a barn burner of a game, up and down the field. And you're indoors. I think this game is in New Orleans, so you're on the track there. I've got 38-30 Saints at home.
Wow.
Pulling this one out. I think that the Saints, are fine offensively. I think they're going to start to get things on track a little bit. But they need to do something about their defense because they're not a Super Bowl. Right now they are currently not a Super Bowl team, not with that defense. So they're either going to have to kind of round into form or they're going to have to find some guy on the waiver wire or something. But they're going to give up points though. They're going to give up points to a lot of teams. Like I can see Alex Smith gashing this defense tonight with Chris Thompson. I could see Chris Thompson having 8 receptions for 90 some odd yards, and because the Saints just can't really stop too many people. But luckily for them, they can go up and down the field too, which I suspect they will do because I don't trust the Redskins defense either. So if you're looking for a defensive battle tonight, this is not the game.
Well,
it's not the game for you.
But I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think for me, there's a lot of going on here. A lot of positive things for the Redskins in this game. Yes, I am not in the same line as you. They have the one thing that the Redskins have is they have Josh Norman going up against an impressive Michael Thomas tonight, and the Redskins have a very good defense. They do. Their defense has not, I think they have only allowed 15 points per game this year. Now, they don't play the New Orleans Saints all the time, and that is a high-powered offense, high-octane. So I don't expect the high-octane Saints to only put up 2 touchdowns all game. But I do expect that there will be a bit of a rust factor integrating Ingram back into the fold while getting amazing Alvin Kamara a bunch of touches. Because I think it's almost impossible to jump back in the middle of the season and then start sharing the load here. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then you have the Redskins offense who are coming off a bye week. So they had extra time to prepare for this game and a little extra rest for an older Adrian Peterson, an older running back. He can always use a little extra rest.
Who hasn't looked very old, though.
Well, he had one bad game. He
did.
He had 2 good games. I think with all of that, and a quarterback like Alex Smith, like you said, who is known for not making many mistakes, it just gives me reason to believe that they can win this game in New Orleans. And I know this is a bit of a reach. But the Saints defense, as you said, is not great this year, and I know that they are more healthy and ready to explode on offense than ever. But I just have a feeling that the Skins win this game because of the extra week to prepare. And with Norman lurking in the secondary, I feel confident with the Skins over the Saints, 32-28.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. I like the pick though.
So I am taking a different take here. I have to play catch up a little bit in the win column here because the Bryman's beating me by 3, I think 3 or 4 now. So I have to play some catch up, and that's who I picked. I did some research. I looked at it. They have Ryan Kerrigan, they have Josh Norton, they have some good talent on defense in the Redskins, and the New Orleans Saints have just been a sieve all year. Last week it didn't. That I mean, they were playing. They played the Giants last week, and the Giants can make almost any defense look good lately. Obviously, they played pretty well against the Carolina Panthers at a heartbreaker.
Oh my God! If you're a Giants fan and you're losing on a 63-yard field goal, you got to just throw your hands up in the air and say, "Hey, you know what? It's just not meant to be."
Oh my God! I wonder if I can find it real quick. But I saw the best meme ever. It was a buddy of mine, Aaron, who posted it on Facebook, and he posted this meme about Giants fans after this game. And it was a picture of a Giants fan basically crumpled on the floor, on the concrete, like on the sidewalk, just laying there like, this is what Giants fans are like after today's game. Like, is there anything we can do to win a game? Like, 63-yard field goal? Like, just, yeah, like that was the worst loss yesterday from a team that, the sad thing, the crazy thing is they're still in it in their division.
Yeah, they are.
Eagles 2 wins. The Redskins right now only have 2 wins, but there's a
Cowboys
chance they're playing tonight. Cowboys only have 2 wins.
Eagles are bad, yeah.
And obviously the Giants have 1 win, so they are still within it. They put together a good winning streak and beat a couple people in their division. They could take the lead still, but it does not look promising.
Yeah, and I think on Saturday's show, I did predict that the Giants would lose, and I said it would end their season, but I guess I have to take that back because given everything that's happening in the NFC East, you can't really definitively say that the Giants are out of it. I mean, if they win, if the Redskins lose tonight, is the most wins in that division 2 by anybody?
Yeah.
Right? I think so, right?
If the Saints win, everybody has 2 wins except for the Giants.
And I think people will expect the Saints to win. So the Giants are not, by any stretch of the imagination, out of it. I mean, they could win that division at 8-8, which I hate when that happens, but it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles look rusty. I think the Eagles are going to be really good starting next week. I think next week you're going to see them, as they go forward.
Well, at some point, Carson will shake the rust off.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen because they started to show signs yesterday late. Obviously, they came back, and it ended up being a little bit closer than expected. I had them winning by 10, and they were up by 9 going within like the last 2 minutes of the game, and they obviously scored. So it ended up being a little bit closer, but still. All right, that's pretty much it we have for the NFL. If there's anything else, anybody else wants to, your wife posted a bunch of
She did. She's laughing at us. Laughing at me. She's probably laughing more at me. Thank you, honey.
She might have been laughing.
At least she's watching.
She might have been laughing at Clint. She might have been laughing at Clint because Clint said, "Quiet and let Yoda finish his comment."
He called him Yoga.
I know. I think he meant Yoda. I'm assuming. Yeah. Autocorrect. Whatever. All right. So, all right. Let's play. We'll play a quick commercial. We'll throw our commercial in there real quick. You can find this on YouTube, anywhere else. Please share it. Share the show. Let people know that we're out there, and help us grow. And click this. Give us the thumbs up if you can. We really appreciate the likes on the actual video and all the.
We love your likes.
We love we like your likes and love your comments. That's what I like to say. All right. So thank you very much for doing that, and we will be right back after our commercial, which is right here, right now. See you in 30 seconds.
Pebbles drop deep to left field. Going back choice. Looking up. See ya. 3,000.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman. 75% sports and 25% sorts.
All right, we're back. We have a quick question. A buddy of mine, Don Mativia, he actually posed, Patriots are back. Thoughts on the season now? And I can address this real quick, and then you can get into it. The Patriots, I believe, are still, like I originally at the beginning of the season said that you're gonna start seeing them slide a little bit. Thankfully for them, they are in a division that's just not that great right now. You have the Jets with a rookie quarterback, you have the Bills with a rookie quarterback, and you have the Miami Dolphins who are making Brian basically wilt into his couch throughout a game and losing to the Bengals in great fashion. But you ultimately have you have them in a division. The Patriots I had them going at I think 10-6 at the beginning of the season. Then they got the Josh Gordon trade, which ups that. I think that gives them another win. I think they're going to probably finish the year maybe 11-5, but I think you're going to start slowly seeing the decline because I think Tom Brady is showing that. I mean, his interception rate is higher than ever. He still threw a bunch of picks this last game with having all of his talent. Edelman, Gordon, Gronk. Michelle has been playing well. You have them playing that, but their defense is atrocious, and I don't see that getting any better. Belichick doesn't necessarily draft very well. He doesn't seem to trade very well. He's very good at getting the team that he has there, getting on the same page as him. But it's been showing its face a little bit more and more lately, particularly lately, because it is it's tough. It's tough with having a quarterback like that who has been so good for so long, and he obviously has the owner's ear, and the owner is going to be like, I'm siding with this guy until he retires. Until he decides to let go, I'm going to stay with this guy because he's won me so many championships. And Bill Belichick is kind of trying to look towards the future, whereas the owner's just like, nope, sorry, not going to happen. So it's a very interesting to see this play out. I do expect them to go in the playoffs. I don't expect them to make the Super Bowl this year, but because of their defense. But I do expect, Brady to put up pretty good numbers. I think you're going to see higher interception totals than normal. He's probably going to finish something like 14 or 15 this year, which is not normal for him. He's usually much more efficient than that. And even with Gordon and Edelman and Gronk, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, but I think you're seeing chinks in the armor is what you're basically seeing, and it's going to happen when your quarterback's over 40 years old and and still playing at a pretty darn high level at that age.
Yeah, and thanks for the question, Don. Look, the Patriots are the Patriots. Look, they were going back to our preseason picks, they were my pick to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I'm not wavering off of that at all, especially when you look at the landscape of the AFC and see how weak it is. Granted, the AFC Championship game may go through Kansas City, but if you trust the Chiefs to win a home game, an AFC Championship game against the Patriots, you're barking up the wrong tree there. I would not bet on that. I don't care. And I love Patrick Mahomes, and I love the way the Chiefs have looked, at least offensively. On defense, I think you and I both know that there's some work to be done there. And it's hard to argue with 5-0. Look, 5-0 is 5-0, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I can't trust and I certainly wouldn't trust the Chiefs on the road to win in Foxborough. But I don't know that I'd trust them to even hosting an AFC Championship game. And let's be honest, too. Here's the other thing with the Chiefs. Even if they secured the number one seed overall and the road to the Super Bowl did go through Kansas City, that's still a team I could see losing a home game. They get their bye, and then they get into a divisional round game, and I can see them losing that. I can see them losing that game. Mm-hmm. I don't know who the competition would be, but I could easily see them dropping that game. Very, very easily, especially if it's a veteran team like the Steelers, even though the Steelers look like garbage right now. Even a veteran team like that, they'll have him back at that point. Mm-hmm. Again, not that running has really been their issue, but listen, the Patriots are the Patriots. They're going to start. You know what the Patriots are? The Patriots are very much reflective, I think, of their 41-year-old quarterback. And I can relate to this, seeing as I am exactly the same age as Tom Brady. But look, if you're a 41-year-old guy, you kind of get up. It's sort of like the way you get up in the morning, right? You get up out of bed. It's just a little bit slow. You can hear things creaking around a little bit. But once you kind of get into the flow of the day, you're fine, right? And that's kind of what the Patriots are. They're a little slow to get out of bed, but now they're in their groove. They're starting to get their groove. It's like, it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning for the Patriots right now. They're fine. They shook off a little bit of that early morning rust, and now they're good to go. And listen, and that's as much as I hate Bill Belichick, that is the genius of Bill Belichick. Buy-in. He gets his players, regardless of their talent level, to buy into what he is selling. Yeah. It's what makes him great at what he does. Do I hate him? Yes. Do I think he could be the devil on earth? Probably. But is he one of the best coaches ever, and is he one of the great motivators And especially in this age in football where, these players make exorbitant amounts of money, it's very different than back in the 80s and 90s when you had guys like Bill Parcells who were master motivators. Mm-hmm. It's a different era of football. Bill Belichick has been able to sort of take that mentality and sort of mix it with a bit of a, kind of a new age philosophy and really gotten his players to buy into him. Mm-hmm. And that's the greatness of Bill Belichick. And that's why the Patriots, as long as he's there at the helm, listen, I think Tom Brady is an all-time great. He's a top 5 quarterback all time, no question about it. But I do think that the Patriots model could be successful with Belichick at the helm even after Brady is gone, which hopefully will be very soon, but probably won't be. But the bottom line is, Patriots are going to be fine. I still expect them to be in the Super Bowl this year. I don't think they're going to win, but I expect them to be there.
Wow. All right. So we hope that answered your question. But you did mention Patrick Mahomes. And, if Patrick Mahomes, I think if he had anything to say, Mahomie de Clown, I think if he had anything to say.
I don't think so. Homie don't play that.
I think that's what he would say. Although, I don't know if you've heard Patrick Mahomes talk. But he has got a very interesting voice. He's like he's got a very interesting, and he also looks kind of like Wanda Sykes. It's very, very weird. Like I love the dude. He is so incredibly great. If you just look at his face, he kind of. It's not.
I'm not seeing the Wanda Sykes.
No, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not Wanda Sykes.
I don't think it's.
You know who looks like Wanda Sykes? Is Hopkins. He looks like Wanda Sykes.
I'll give you that.
But Patrick Mahomes, he has a very interesting look to him, and there's an actor out there that
he obviously resembles his dad quite a bit.
Well, yeah, but his dad is nowhere near as famous, and he played in baseball for a while, but he's nowhere near as famous as his son already because his son is everywhere. But it's fun to see some. Oh, Jesus. My wife posted. She's like, "Hi, Nicole and Leah. It's fun to see some ladies joining in."
I have a question about Leah. Is she at all related to Sebastian Maniscalco? Because that's not probably the most popular last name.
I don't know.
I mean, even for Italians, I don't think that's
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe we'll hear in the comments. All right, so let's move on over. Let's move into baseball. All right.
By the way, I had a point in asking that question because I'd like some tickets. He is my favorite comedian. So.
Oh, see, I don't like him. I don't really like him that much. Me and my wife tried to watch him a few times, and we were like, no.
Oh, he's so great. His story, you know why? I think it's a lot of his stories are just so relatable because he does so much stuff. Like, he really uses a lot of his youth and his kind of young, family stories growing up in an Italian household. Yeah. And it's, I don't know, I find them very relatable and very, very fun. I love his delivery too, and I love his he's got a very demonstrative kind of approach too.
I think it's my personality because there was like this whole bit that he was doing about, somebody comes to the door and they like duck behind furniture.
That's great because.
But I don't do that. Like somebody knocks on the door and I hop up and I'm like, yeah, who is it? Let's talk.
Oh, we do that. We do. No, but actually, but I think you might have missed the bit there because his point in that bit actually is that what he was doing was he was comparing things back to his childhood. Yeah. He's saying nowadays this is how people are. He's like, back when I was a kid though, we did just what you said. We'd hop up and be like, oh, yeah,
I still do that.
Come in. And then
I greet the dog like a dog. I'm like, yeah, how's it going, guys?
I love that bit too when he talks about how they open the door and he'd be like, look who's here. Get in here! I love it. His style, I think, is just great.
Yeah, it's kind of lost on me for some reason. I don't know. Me and Christine watched half of one of his Netflix shows, and we just didn't care for it. All right, and obviously we are on the opposite end of the spectrum there because it seems like he is a fan favorite.
Usually are.
Yeah, he's a very fan favorite of a lot. So, all right, let's get into the MLB playoffs. October baseball, it's here. Let's play ball. I have a clip I want to play before we get into any of this, and that is by Ronald Acuna Jr.
The 3-1, and Acuna swings. It's a high drive to left center field. Taylor back at the wall. It is gone. A grand slam for Acuna.
Ronald Acuna Jr. Man, this dude's he's a man child. And he hits a grand slam to become the youngest player to ever hit a grand slam in the postseason.
Yeah.
Replacing an okay player by the name of Mickey Mantle. And then you have, obviously my love for Freddie Freeman, continues to grow because of his homer that they gave him the lead in the sixth. The Braves held on to that lead.
That was a bomb, by the way.
Oh, he's a beast.
That ball was crazy. Yasiel Puig didn't even move.
Of course. Well, I mean,
I wouldn't have either. I'd have been like, wow, look at that.
Yeah, that's impressive. So the Braves hold out into that lead. Today, Rich Hill, he's going to take the mound against Fultonowicz. And you have to like your chances if you're the Dodgers because Rich Hill he recently dominated the Braves. And Fultonowicz obviously did not pitch well in his first game with the Braves this year in the postseason, particularly. I think he pitched 2 innings? Was that in the postseason?
Oh, it might have been.
I think so. It was recently where he pitched 2 innings and didn't go deep, and he pitched terrible. And even though this Braves team is fun to watch, I just think that the Dodgers, this is well in hand. And I think you're going to have to, watch out for players like Manny Machado today. He hits Fultonowicz well. And I think this is going to be a game where it might get out of hand early, and I don't see the Braves making a big comeback, even with beasts, like Freeman and all that stuff. But they are well ahead of schedule, so, you don't have to worry about this. Hopefully they won't have much of a hangover like the Yankees did this year, where they kind of were ahead of schedule and then came out looking a little flat at times, a lot of injuries and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully that won't happen to them. We'll move on to the Brewers. They swept the Rockies, Colorado Rockies. Yes, the Brewers and the likely MVP, Christian Yelich, they sweep the Rockies. They sweep Nolan Arenado, who's also an MVP candidate, Trevor Story, who's an MVP candidate, Charlie Blackmon, who is an amazing center fielder. They swept the Colorado Rockies. And with the one question that I have for you, and you can keep it pretty short, is will the time off between the games help or be a hindrance to the Brewers? Because I always hate when we have too many games off.
Yeah, I hate it
because
too.
You lose your chemistry a little bit. You lose your momentum.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think chemistry, but yes, momentum I would have to agree with, especially when you consider that the Brewers have won 11 straight games. And if you're a Brewer, the one thing you want right now is to be on that field. You just want to be on the field playing right now because you just don't want anything to stop that momentum. I mean, it's always a double-edged sword, right? Because here's the good news for the Brewers, though. At least now they're into a 7-game series. So if you have a little bit of momentum lost and maybe there's some rust that you have to shake off, maybe even if you lose game 1 to the Dodgers or whatever, you still have 6 other games. It gets a little bit tighter in a 5-game series because you really don't want to lose game 1 in a 5-game series. You just don't. But I'll tell you what, the Brewers to me, and I'll tell you, I mean, I make my annual postseason bet every year with Tim Callahan, and so far I'm looking good because I had the Brewers advancing to the NLCS. I have the Brewers in the World Series actually, wow. and then I've got the Dodgers on the other one too. So I'm looking pretty good there, and I'm looking good in the AL because Houston's up, and I have I did unfortunately pick the Red Sox. So, but we'll see. That series is 1-1. But listen, if you're the Brewers, I know again it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you want to rest some guys. But then you've got the whole rest versus rust thing. If you're the Brewers, you want to be playing right away. But you know what? At the same time, it doesn't hurt, I don't think, to have those guys. At least for the Brewers, the road to the World Series does go through Milwaukee. So, I mean, you still have to like their I still like their chances to get to the World Series. I feel like they're a special team. They're a fun team. I love their manager. I love Craig Counsell. Everything about them just feels pretty good. They've got a really nice back end of that bullpen. Mm-hmm. Their lineup can hit. You've got the MVP. There's a lot to like there. I mean, if there's anything maybe that concerns you about the Brewers, it's their starting pitching. Again, and
if you have to go up against a couple of tough lefties like Rich Hill and Kershaw, that could be
especially the way Kershaw is pitching. He looks like he's playing Kershaw. So, yeah. But listen. Yeah. You gotta like your chances if you're the Brewers right now, though. I mean, how could you not?
All right, well, let's move on to, of course,
the state of the Yankees.
The Yankees and the Red Sox play tonight.
Pivotal game 3, as they say.
In Bronx, tonight we have Nathan Eovaldi versus Luis Severino. a matchup that could make some of the Yankee fans a little bit nervous because, you know,
queasy, not nervous.
Evaldi stays in the strike zone, so he doesn't walk many batters and has some dominant stuff. And that's something that the Yankees always usually do. They usually draw out the count, make the pitchers work a little bit. They've been doing that forever. They have a lot of hitters like Judge and Hicks and all these people. I don't even know. There's a good chance that Hicks plays. We're not 100% sure, but regardless, I actually wouldn't want Hicks to play in this matchup because I think Guardy's a better matchup for this. But
it might be.
I do think that since he doesn't walk a lot of batters and he has some dominant stuff from time to time, it could be an interesting game. But there are 4 hitters that see the ball pretty darn well out of Evaldi's hand on this Yankees team. And I think tonight you're going to have to watch out for Didi. I think he hits him well. Judge hits him well. McCutch hits him well. And yes, I am going to say this man's name, even though the Bry man might freak out. But Giancarlo Stanton hits Evaldi very well. So
I find that hard to believe because I can't imagine. I mean, I can't even imagine Evaldi throwing a pitch anywhere near him.
Yeah, well,
that he could extend.
He hits the ball well against him. He sees the ball well out of his hand. Obviously, this is only, in
the regular season when it doesn't matter.
No, it's just a course of his career. Double-digit bats. They all have double-digit bats, and they all hit him above a 280 clip. And I think Judge was he was like 286. Didi was like batting like 3-something against them.
I could see Didi having a good.
Those guys that are aggressive, and Didi's a very aggressive hitter. Doesn't walk much, doesn't strike out much. So he likes the ball in the zone, and Evaldi throws the ball in the zone.
Yeah, he does.
But things do change in the playoffs, so anything's up for grabs because obviously the Sox also have hitters that see the ball well out of Sevy's hand. You have Ben Nintendo 64, JD Martinez. He sees the ball out of everybody's hand, and the guy that scares me the most in this lineup with Sevy on the hill is Mitch Moreland. He seems to hit Sevy very well.
Especially in this park.
But I will say, in Vegas, the matchup took a turn for the Yankees after the matchups were released, after the pitching matchups were released. And it's still tough. It's a tough game to pick. The Yankees are the favorite now, but who do you have, Brian? Who do you got going in this game?
This game concerns me. As you've been privy to now with the Yankees text group, you see how a lot of these conversations go.
We have the same conversation. I don't even chime in with Lance. I mean, Lance goes a little bit over, like more than I do when me and you and I have a similar conversation.
Well,
but yeah.
I mean, look, here's the thing. If you're a Yankee fan and you're not afraid of this game, if you're not concerned that Nate Evaldi might come out and throw one of the better games of his life, then, I mean, I understand that Nathan Evaldi this is easily, by far, the single most important game he's ever pitched in. So let's be honest, the pressure is very high.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're a Yankee fan, you're not afraid of this matchup, given the history with Nate Evaldi, the fact that this guy's going to want to pitch the game of his life tonight. And it's funny because, too, like I thought I'd be the only one saying that, but LC was right with me. LC had a better line. He actually had Evaldi having a better line because I've got Evaldi going 5 1/3 tonight, 8 strikeouts and 1 earned run. Mm-hmm. And I think LC had him going 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, no earned runs. And if that's the case, the Yankees are going to lose because the Red Sox will score off Severino. Severino has still just not been himself. The one thing, though, that I think the Yankees need to take the exact same approach with Severino tonight that they took in the wild card game. Just let Severino go out and empty the tank for 4 innings. Give it his best. Just chuck and get out of there. And then turn it over to the bullpen because the Yankees bullpen is now going to be well rested. They're good. They're in good shape. They'll be ready to go 5, maybe even 6 innings tonight. I mean, honestly, if you get even 3 out of Severino, 3 good innings. Like, just get him through the lineup once. That's fine. And I think that is the beauty of this Yankees team. Is because of this bullpen, it does give you a luxury that a lot of other teams don't have. It allows you to start the bullpen early, get them going in the 4th inning if need be. You don't need length out of your starters from this Yankee team. You just need them to get through those first few innings. Now, it's great when you have a game like the other night when Tanaka gives you, what did he give him, 5 or 6 innings, right?
Yeah. Really
strong innings. Mm-hmm. Looked good. He made one mistake. And I wouldn't even say it was a horrible mistake. That was a really good pitch that Bogarts hit out. Because Bogarts really, he showed some strength there. He had to pull his hands in, and he still got that ball over the center field wall. it was not actually a horrible pitch, but as we know is the case with Tanaka, and we say it all the time, he's gonna make a mistake pitch, and it's gonna get hit
Not
out.
always, but I mean, hey.
And he made it, and the guy
dude is a beast in the playoffs.
It's really hard to argue with Tanaka's results in the postseason. It really is. And we have ripped him, you and I have ripped him back and forth for years. You've been more supportive of him than I am.
Yeah, I've always trusted him in big spots.
But I'll tell you what, he continues to prove me wrong in the postseason. He really is he really is a solid choice. The only concern I ever have about him, about Tanaka, is just that one mistake pitch. He did make it. It did not cost them the game. But again, going back to tonight, look, if you're Severino, you got to follow the script from the wild card game. 4 innings, get out of Dodge. Unless he's absolutely dominant, then of course you keep him in and you kind of go, you go inning by inning at that point. But I am concerned that Eovaldi is going to have a really good game, and I don't think Severino's going to get blown up by the Red Sox. I think I could see him pitching to a 4 to 5 inning, 2-run kind of line, probably get 6 or 7 strikeouts in there. But if the Yankees can't get anything off of Eovaldi, and here's the thing with the Red Sox, they're going to push Eovaldi as long as he can go in this game.
Why?
Because they don't want to get, why? You know why. So,
Hashtag blow pen.
You and that blow pen. But let's be honest. I mean, look, the Red Sox bullpen has not been good, and Damian is right. If there is a fatal flaw for this team, that's it. If you're the Red Sox, you gotta hope that Eovaldi gives you some length tonight. And I am concerned that he will be able to do that. I don't know. Do you want an official prediction for the game?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I mean, Damian actually posted, he said that I think it's a coin flip to go either way. There's likely almost no chance of a solid but not great start. It'll either be dominant or awful. I think that's what he's saying about Eovaldi. So he basically said he needs to go at least 7 in order for this team. And if he goes 7, the Yankees are in a little bit of trouble.
Yes, I would
unless
wholeheartedly agree with that.
Unless it's 0-0 or 1-0 or something. Like then I'm okay with it. But if he goes 7, that's not probably something that's going well for the Yankees.
No, that would be. I mean, at that point, you're saying he's given up probably a run or less.
And Don also posted Sevy. He thinks that Sevy will be lights out. Sevy daggers are definitely Moreland, Mook, and JD going to be a grind starting at the 7th inning stretch. A nail biter. These games usually are. They usually are. They really take their toll on you internally.
Yeah, I think
years off your life, but
I think the other thing for Sevy too is you got to try and keep guys off base here. You just don't want anybody on base when it gets to guys like Martinez. As far as I'm concerned, JD Martinez is probably going to have more hits than not in this series. It just seems he's just a ridiculously tough out. They all are. I mean, that whole Red Sox lineup, top to bottom, is scary. I mean, maybe Sandy Leone doesn't scary.
They're top heavy. They are top heavy. I think they're top heavy.
Sure.
The Yankees, I think, are a more well balanced offensive team, whereas the people that can hurt you on the Red Sox.
Yeah, they are. I agree.
They're there and they can do it, but they're more top heavy than anything else.
The top 5 guys are just real. That's just a tough part of that lineup to navigate. But they can really hurt you though.
Then they have people like Pierce. They have Pierce and even Moreland has kind of hit us pretty well. But Pierce and Benintendi, those 2 guys have hit us very well.
What scares me tonight is Severino. If he's not completely on tonight, throwing to the short part of the park to a lot of lefty. Well, not a lot of lefties, but some very effective lefties in this lineup. But let's be honest.
I'm hoping that they play Devers because Devers actually, I think he's like over 12 against Sevy, whereas Nunez, Miggy, not Miggy, I'm calling Eduardo Nunez. He actually, I think he bats like 340 off of Sevy. It's like something ridiculous like that. So I'm hoping that because of the park. But that could always change. That could change with one pitch one pitch, and then Devers ends up going yard, going deep, and then that changes his whole the whole postseason for him. So I don't know. It could be a little crazy.
Chances are, if we know it, Alex Cora knows it. So
what's that?
I said chances are, if we know it, Alex Cora knows it.
Yeah.
So
fortunately, he was also incredibly hot to finish the season.
Devers,
so I'm hoping to see him too. And he said Devers, that is. And I'm just I don't know. It's like I make that prediction. Like, yeah, he's 0 for 12 against Sevy or something like that. He has a 0 batting average against them.
Anyways, not to be wishy-washy, I'll give you a prediction. Unfortunately, I think the Sox pull one out tonight. I got this bad feeling about Eovaldi. I really do. I really feel like he's going to go out there and pitch really, really well. I hope to God I'm wrong, but I've just got a feeling Eovaldi's going to go on. I think he'll even get the win tonight too. I don't like this. I don't like this matchup. I hate the storyline. You know how I am. I'm less about the data and the analytics of it, and I'm just more about the gut feeling storyline of it. And this storyline bothers me. The Nate Eovaldi storyline bugs me because I've seen stuff like this happen to the Yankees before, where they cut a guy loose. He doesn't have a good career with the Yankees. He goes elsewhere and he succeeds.
He pitched well with the Yankees.
He does well
when he
pitched. But you're right. But overall, yeah. But the epitaph on Nate Eovaldi's career as a Yankee is not
Carl
good.
Pavano.
It's not that bad, but it's still not great. And the bottom line is, I think I'll give you a final score of 5-2 Red Sox.
That's very interesting because I have the final score. I actually, you're going to laugh. Of course you're going to laugh, but I have it 7-3. I think Eovaldi's not going to pitch well. I think that they're going to take advantage of him early, and I think that bullpen's going to get exposed, and then that bullpen's going to carry over because I think the Yankees are going to win the series. I honestly do. I think that the Yankees, I like them. I really, that bullpen, I think in today's game, the bullpen is more important than ever, and their bullpen is horrible. Is absolutely atrocious. And I feel like if we can get Eovaldi out early, that's going to burn them going forward. It's going to really burn them going forward because we have a lot more arms in the pen that we can have. Like Green can go 2 innings. I don't want Betances to go 2 innings, but he can if they have a good enough lead. So like there are plenty of options here, but I have it 7-3 tonight. I'm going big. And he says, wow. Damien says, I'm going to guess Sox win 8-7. Woo! That'd be a shocker.
I can see that.
I think that the next game in the Bronx where the Yankees win, again, I think they're going to take 2 at home. I think what happens there is that's going to be a nail biter where it could really go either way, but I think the Yankees are going to hold on. It's going to be like something ridiculous like 4-3 or 3-2 or 5-4 or something really, really close. And it's just going to make everybody like kind of be elated at the end of the game. But during that, it's just, you're going to be like going into the next series like, like I'm so tired.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, regardless of who wins this series, the defending champs are waiting probably. And I don't know if I like either of the. I mean, yes, I'm sticking, of course, with my Red Sox to win it all pick because they were the best team in baseball all year. And it's not like I went out on a limb there, but let's be honest, the Astros really seem to be hitting stride right now. They just look good in all phases. They are pitching well. They're hitting against a really good Indians team. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And there's clearly no World Series hangover for the Astros. I mean, if the Astros sweep the Indians, look out. Plus, they'll be well rested. They'll have their rotation set up. It's just crazy.
Yeah, the only thing with the Astros is, though, like Altuve is kind of dealing with some injuries. And that could be a little scary. Because he even said, he's like, oh, yeah, he basically came out and said, oh, no, yeah, I feel like I'm 100% because of all the adrenaline. But, like, he had an issue recently where he kind of went down a little awkwardly, and it was a little scary for them. So
you know what, though? I still feel like the Astros are a team that could sustain an injury like that, even if he was
out. Altuve, when he was out this year, they struggled. He's their heart and soul.
I think the thing is, I just trust their pitching so much. And I think they still have enough weapons offensively that they could eke out some close games. I mean,
that would be a gut punch, though.
But let's be honest, though, too. If you're the Astros, pretty much your road to the World Series now. I mean, once you dispatch of Cleveland, and they will, is just to win 4 more games because at that point they're going to beat whoever comes out of the National League anyway. At least in my opinion. So. Yeah.
All right.
We'll see.
Okay. Well, that's I think pretty much it for the end. That's our show, really. I mean. Play a little Apache here. What do you think, man?
Oh yeah, no, why not?
Yeah, why not? You gonna do it?
Why not?
Jump on it. Oh yes. Looking forward to Bohemian Rhapsody. Heck yeah. That movie looks amazing.
Yes, it really does.
It looks amazing.
What's the guy? Is it Remy Malik?
I can't remember what his name is. I can't remember. He looks amazing.
It's Remy Malik or something like that?
Something like that,
He looks, oh my God, boy, does he look great.
That movie just looks amazing.
Look really good.
I don't know if you saw the trailer for Rocket Man with Taron Egerton as Elton John.
Oh, Elton John?
That looks kind of good too.
I haven't seen the trailer. I heard about it. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that too. Those music, those like the biopics or whatever they're doing. The documentary kind of like not documentary, but you know what I mean. Like they're a biopic, but they're not really like. I don't know how true the Elton John story is going to be. Because they're kind of basing it off a little bit off of like one of his songs, but at the same time, it's just like, I cannot wait. I can't wait to see that movie, and I can't wait to see Bohemian Rhapsody. Those movies look amazing. So
you want to know what movie I'm excited about again on the sword side, because I think it comes out digitally tomorrow? Is Teen Titans Go to the Movies?
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I want to watch it. I want to watch
it
with the kids.
So great. Yeah. It's so great.
I definitely want to watch that with the kids.
And do not even remotely think that that's just a kid's movie. That movie was absolutely made for adults too. It was so funny. I was dying in that movie theater watching that. It was so great. And it opened up the Teen Titans Go world to me too, because now I'm actually Bella and I want to start watching those together.
Yeah. I'm looking forward. Damien said he's looking forward. He's about to buy Ant-Man and the Wasp through Amazon.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was good. I liked it.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm planning on watching it very soon. I want to because I liked the first one. It wasn't my favorite, but I enjoyed it. It was very entertaining. So I'm looking forward to that.
I liked the first one better, but this one was a really good follow-up. A very, very good follow-up. And yes, the trailer for Vice.
That looks
amazing. You know what's funny? And all the talk has been about Christian Bale as Dick Cheney. And don't get me wrong, it looks great. But Sam Rockwell as George W. Bush
is perfect.
Is
spot on.
Killer.
Spot on.
Killer.
So we're going to do this?
Oh, my. So,
as chicken wings.
We're going to do this, aren't we?
We're going to do this? Yeah.
We're going to do this.
As W.
W.
Sam Rockwell as W.
Oh my God, it looks so great.
Yeah, it looks so good. I can't wait to see that. And
I love Sam.
Bale is Cheney. It was just holy cow.
The casting looks tremendous both ways. It really does.
Love that. I love how they asked him like, are you more evil now than you were like back in your head? He's like, and he's kind of like, oh, it's so good. It's amazing. That movie is going to be incredible. I love movies like that. Like I loved.
Did you like W with Josh Brolin?
I liked that movie. Yeah, I watched that. I liked it. But I love the movies like the Big Short, movies like that. Even the one with Charlie Wilson's War with Tom Hanks. That movie's. I love these type of movies, and I cannot wait to see this because I think. This movie Vice is directed by the same one who did The Big Short, so you're going to get a very similar
Big Short
tone.
Is an unbelievable movie.
The dialogue in that movie is
it's great,
outrageously good. That's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. Like that, I love that movie. It's too bad the poster wasn't better. I would buy the poster, but Josh Brolin as W was great. That was a while back, though. Yeah, it was a good movie. Though. He did a good job.
Like I loved that. It almost seemed parody-ish, though.
A little bit.
And I love Josh Brolin. I think Josh Brolin's an absolutely unbelievable actor, and I'm so glad that he's come back into our lives after Goonies. But that one, like that, his W impersonation was good, but it almost seemed like a parody, like slightly over the top. Whereas Rockwell just seems like, and it was, yes, Damien, it was meant to be. But where like Rockwell seems like it's going to be like a spot on W kind of,
It's going to be funny, but it's because it's true. And Mark posted the Kavanaugh movie that comes out in 10 years will be off the hook. I like beer.
Oh my God.
I'm going to start at 11. I'm going to work my way up to a 15.
Start off at 11. I got these calendars.
PJ, Squee, Donkey Dong Doug.
Oh my God. Handsy Hank and Gangbang Greg.
Gary,
sorry, Gangbang Gary, yes.
Get it right.
Yep.
I like beer.
I like beer.
I like Damien Fitz. I like beer. A love story. All right, on that note, thank you guys for listening. We'll be back again on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. We'll see you then. Hope you have a good Columbus Day, a nice long weekend. Hope everybody's off. If not, I mean, it's Columbus Day, so I can understand why you're not off. But kids, if your kids are home, go give them a hug. It's Columbus Day.
I think maybe yeah. Hey, Damien, you ever get blackout drunk? Huh? Did you ever? Huh?
Devil's Triangle.
Huh?
Drinking game.
Drinking game. Devil's Triangle.
Bye.
I honestly hope my parents aren't watching because I don't want them to ask me what the Devil's Triangle is. I don't want that. I'm not going to answer it. I'm just going to say, you know what, just Google it. We're not going to talk about this.
Say, stay classy, Planet Globe. Go ahead.
Yeah, stay classy, Planet Globe. Bye.
Bye.
I like beer.
You can find Sports and Sorts with Shane and the Bryman on iTunes or www.sportsandsorts.libsyn.com.